Hello and welcome to M3 Live. My name is Malcolm Travers. Male Media Mind is a grassroots organization dedicated to uplifting and unifying our community through dialogue, insight, creativity, and knowledge. And every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I invite my friends to help me break down topics that are usually around relationships, communication, spirituality, religion, politics, whatever. Could use an extra perspective or some experience. As we discuss, I'd love to get your comments and questions. So please leave them in the comments as we discuss, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. Let me introduce you to the panel today. We got the host of the Swag Suite on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Always with the trending topics and shit his mama says from a bunker 60 feet below the sea with a sewing machine and a cat.
I thought that was your buddy.
So what?
You thought that was what?
I thought that was Greg's baby. His buddy told us so he got a badass cat.
That's why he's Greg's buddy.
Partners in crime. Yes.
Right.
Yes. And of course, we also have the talented Mr. Drayton joining us from the globe of Atlanta. The world of Atlanta.
Planet of Atlanta.
The planet of Atlanta. And he is also the host of the Saturday Sit Down every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. What's going on, Greg?
Hey.
Hey.
How are you? How's it going? What's poppin'?
It's going good.
It's probably so I'm good.
And also from the planet of Atlanta, the Thick Knight himself, the host of the Sunday Blurred Council, every Sunday at 5. What's going on, Devon?
Hey, what's going on? Another day in some kind of paradise.
Some kind of paradise. Yeah. Feeling that. So I got a host of topics for you. I'm gonna try a new layout. I'm experimenting. I don't know, StreamYard kicked Greg out for some reason.
I have no idea why. I panicked like shit when I got this. I was like,
It did. It may have kicked everyone out except for those who had admin privileges. And
well, I do have admin privileges, but I think it's because I turned my computer completely off last night.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, I got an alert just saying that I had too many logins, and it
that maybe it was the last joint to log in. So
yeah. So I do have some topics, and I've been trying to have some questions produced by ChatGPT. So I'm going to try a layout that we can use so that when the video is done, I have some discussion questions up top. The first topic is going to be about a thought experiment, and it's something that I've actually done a few times for myself to feel gratitude in the moment for just
Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
for really basic things. Can I mute? Yeah, there you go. For really basic things, feeling gratitude in this way. And I have some questions afterwards we can talk about.
If you could trade lives with the richest person in the world from 200 years ago, would you do it? And before you answer, stop and think through it for a moment. When you trade, you will still have your memories. You will be comparing that life to this one. We're going back to 1825. So for example, you will have infinite money to put whatever you want into your home. But obviously in 1825, even infinite money does not buy you electric lights or running water or a refrigerator or air conditioning. It does not buy you a telephone or any form of instant communication. There's no form of mass media. There's no recorded music. But you have infinite money to bring people and to perform for you. You can have a party every single night. You presumably do not have a job you have to go to. You have infinite money to travel anytime you want, but when you do, it will be done using a horse on dirt roads that become mud certain times of the year. And these trips take weeks, and of course you have no climate control in your vehicle. You're subjected to the heat or the cold. And if you want to do an international trip, it's on a boat being driven by sails, which of course takes weeks or months. You would have the absolute finest possible chefs preparing the finest possible ingredients imported from all over the world, with the understanding that there are strict limitations on what can be imported because, again, no refrigeration. You have servants that will take care of absolutely anything. You have servants who will help you get dressed and help you bathe. You will not have to lift a finger if you don't want to, but if you get sick, you are limited to the medical technology of the era. You have infinite money for the finest healers, but those healers do not have access to antibiotics or modern surgical techniques. And if you need surgery, they are not going to be able to put you under. They don't have anesthesia. And again, while you're living here, you are acutely aware of what you left behind, that all of those things did exist in the world you came from. So you would have power and respect and your choice of friends and partner, but there would be no such thing as a hot shower. So would you make that trade? And do you think the rich man from 1825 would agree to trade in the opposite direction into your life? My belief is that most of you would stick with what you have, but the rich people from back then would also stick with what they have.
Mm-hmm. So I think about that all the time because, like I said, like the idea of a hot shower is damn near miraculous. We don't ever really think about it that way.
Right.
Let me see. I was going to try this. I tried this different layout, right? Hey, look, different layout.
Yeah, that looks good. I like that.
Yeah. So, I think the first one is really the point is that comfort versus control. So, like, if you have infinite money, I think that also deals with some of the issues of, political, social inequality, right? Like, if you literally have all the money, you can just buy infinite power, right? Like, money is power in a capitalist world. 200 years ago is enough. But you just buy the country.
No, wait, I'm black. Am I still black?
You're still black. Yeah. You could literally buy the freedom of every black person on earth. You could do that. Because you have infinite money. You have infinite power. But you're still limited by the level of technology that exists, the level of knowledge you have about medicine, people's beliefs about things, social technology for that matter.
Right.
If you, like you said, if you ever get sick, the best you can get is someone who will bleed you to death.
No. I mean, but wait a minute. So you go with the knowledge that you have from today. I don't know.
You have the knowledge you have today, but no one else has that.
I'll stay put.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll fuck around and die of scurvy or some shit.
Exactly. It's
No.
super preventable, right? They don't even have antibiotics, not to mention painkillers or the ability to knock you out to have surgery. If you were to break your leg, yeah, they could set it, but you'd have to be awake when they set the bone. Like, that's ridiculous.
Right.
Just saying.
No,
but that's the reason I bring this up is just like I think we were maybe talking about this on Patreon on the last show, just this idea of gratitude. I think that for me that this is a great framework for gratitude, even though it's a shared gratitude that we all have. But I think it's something that we often forget because it's just, the water we swim in is just what we are, It's what we do. And I think one of the questions on there was like, what is the deal breaker for you for that trade? Is it
there's lots of them actually.
What's the biggest one, the highest one on the list?
Modern comforts.
Yeah.
I think like you said, you get to retain your memories and stuff like that. So it's like I used to have Wi-Fi and TV and running water and hot showers and cell phone and TV, and now I have none of that, and I'm bored. It's like, nah.
See, that's the thing. Like, my favorite form of entertainment right now is audiobooks, and so if I had the money, I could just have someone read books to me.
I mean, you could. That's right. It's like the Flintstones, like having these animals do the stuff for you, like like instead of a garbage disposal, you got like I don't know, a pig under your sink, and he's eating the food.
And I could make my own porn. I mean, literally, just fly people in to have those eyes wide shut parties every night.
There you go. Hey,
that's a thought.
I say fly men. You're right. They come in and pour some buggy and
right. Ship them in.
Ship them in. You're right. That was a big catch.
It'll take them 3 months to get to you.
Yeah,
Right.
I can wait. But yeah, they also not be that hot. That's true. I don't know. I'm thinking about these, the limitations of our
Everybody gonna stink.
It's true. Nobody has a shower. There's no running. There's no internal plumbing.
They ain't got no booty days. Sorry. Nobody does.
Everybody will stink. You know?
I'm not knowing.
Oh my god.
But yeah, to me, that is one of the gratitudes I get every night is the shot shower and the essential oils. I fucking love it. Like there's all these like weird, health scams based on essential oils, but you can get some really cheap, pretty decent essential oils that are hands down just like some of the best. I don't know, like luxury. They feel very luxurious. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've been experimenting with eucalyptus oil. Like that shit is just like it. It's like lavender, but maybe a little sweeter smelling. You know, it's really good. But
Think about the small things of just turning on the light.
for sure.
Right.
And so
I fuck around, and broke my toe because the whole house dark.
yeah. But yeah, that's I think a good starting place for a daily gratitude practice. I've definitely dealt with my issues with depression and just sadness and just certain things. Like you sometimes don't recognize how much control you have over the nature of your thoughts. Like oftentimes we just put them up to the daily, vicissitudes of life. Like we just let it happen. Let the things that happen to us dictate our thoughts. But like taking a moment here and there during the day, like early in the morning or late at night, to just intentionally find some gratitude for the little basic shit like electricity and hot water and food that doesn't kill you. And like socks are amazing. Just like I found some of these socks with the grips on them on Temu so you don't slip around on the floor, and they're like they're socks that you can wear without slipping. You know what I mean?
I just stole mine from the hospital.
Yeah. They do give you those at the hospital, but you can buy them on Temu for like $8 for a pack of 6. And I'm like, I have a bunch of them. I'm just like, and they're wool. They're like so thick and stretchy. It's so comfortable. I mean, for me, that is a big deal because, I have a size 18 foot, and I couldn't find socks that fit until I found these hospital socks. They're designed to stretch like crazy. I'm like, socks. I finally have socks.
And then I will miss music. That's my biggest hobby.
Yeah. I think about that too. My mom is a classically trained musician, and we were talking about like some of these concerts that were put on, operas and orchestra compositions. They say, like most people maybe only heard this once or twice in their life. And even if you were rich, like it was one of those things that was it's one of the reasons why it's associated with great wealth. But because that's what it was. You had to have a lot of wealth to even attend. And yeah, like it's also interesting to note that interpretations of those pieces are probably different. It's a modern interpretation of what it was. Different musicians, some of the things that were composed were done on instruments that no longer even exist. And some people don't even know what they are, what they look like, or what they sounded like. So you just do your best.
I would hire an orchestra and make them play Blow the Whistle by Too Short. Don't. Hey, blow the whistle. No? Okay.
But yeah, it is interesting though. Like some of those songs are timeless, even though they probably most definitely have changed over time.
And then for me, I ain't going because there's no Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune. Hell.
Yeah.
And And
We
then
know
they,
you love your
they
Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune and Price is Right.
right, they ain't got nothing to wipe their ass with. You gonna shit in a hole. I mean, no, you know.
Now, this one doesn't have anything to do with gratitude, but he also offered the opposite, which is like, do you think someone from their time would agree to be in our time?
Yes,
As
yeah.
swap places.
They
That's an
would.
interesting question. Because I don't know. They might get lost, being overwhelmed by, things being so far, advanced in what they're used to.
Yeah.
First of all, they would burn you at the stake in their time because they think
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
we have computers in your pocket. You have what? Right.
And they'd also lose social status. I think there's something to that.
right.
Right.
Like that.
I mean, think about that. That makes me think of remember the Demolition Man, where Sly Stallone, like in the future, like we don't use toilet paper, we use the 3 seashells, and he's like, I don't know how to use this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it might end up being something like that. Be like, look, I can't handle this. I don't know how. I can't wipe my ass like I used to. This is barbaric. I can't do this. Give me back some time.
Pretty much. Those are something I just encourage you all to have a gratitude practice. You don't have to actually suffer from any sort of mood disorder to reap the benefits from it. It's a really simple practice. It is. It's really great.
I would like to thank the Lord for that French toast and sausage I just had. Amen.
Pretty much.
Thank you, baby Jesus.
Yeah. There you go. Do we have any comments or questions? I'll move on.
Let's see. Mr. Collins.
Well, the positive is that I wouldn't be a slave and won't have to worry about getting lynched. I don't know, but you're still black, so that's the question I ask. So will they kind of
I assume in this thought experiment, because he doesn't include race and social justice, that infinite money also equals infinite power. So, but it is just a thought experiment. So.
Right.
All right.
That's all we got.
All right. So my next one. Let me see what this one is. Also incredibly esoteric. Sorry, I had a lot of. This is the one I was telling you about. It just feels a little abstract, and it was one of the reasons why I started wanting to use some of these, discussion questions. This idea is dealing with, I guess, our place in the universe and how both incredibly powerful we can feel in our ability to think and plan and set a course for our future, especially when we're talking about planning and making choices, and also how incredibly small we are. And it's interesting that, like, when I think about some of the things that bring a sense of awe and a sense of wonder about existence, is those things that make you feel small. Say, like, standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon, for instance, you just recognize, like, holy crap, like this planet is just fucking gargantuan, whatever word you can come up, gigantic, gargantuan.
Right.
And it makes you feel small. And in that making you feel small, there's a certain reverence that comes from that. I'm going to play this video and we'll talk about it.
There is a great contradiction at the heart of being human, and that's because on the one hand we feel utterly powerless. We feel pushed around by the world, and we're told that free will is the illusion of a brain having a laugh. But on the other hand, we feel terrifyingly powerful, because every day presents us with a crossroads, and every decision we make will end up at a different destination. This is what Soren Kierkegaard talks about in the tension between the finite and the infinite, and wisdom comes in learning to walk between the two. For Kierkegaard, the finite is all of those desires, cravings, worries, phobias, or dreams that you have which are tugging you this way or that. And for most of your life, you'll give in to them. You'll scratch an itch, you'll drink some water, smile at a good-looking person, you'll go to bed, you'll nurse a wasp sting, and so on. It's simple, mindless, and essentially passive. The infinite, though, is the recognition that we can choose and direct our lives essentially however we dream. It's what happens when you are confronted with the unwritten vastness of the future and you are told you have to write it. But what? What shall I write? We are crippled by the choice. Kierkegaard gives no easy solutions. We have to recognize that we are puny and insignificant. We're primates running on hormones and synapses. But we also have to recognize that we are powerful beyond belief, and that each of our decisions reaches out into the future, and that our decisions define our future. Accepting and holding this paradox is a sign of maturing. We have to get used to the fact that we all live in contradiction.
So I'm going to put up these questions here. One of the things that came to mind with that, I was reading, what was it? This book on free will, and I think that's one of the things that he's getting at in here. That on a certain level, we don't get to choose the urges that we have, the compulsions, who we are, the sort of minor like desires that we have, but we definitely have a choice into, what we do with what we have, right?
But but the joy of life is that you don't think in those terms. You kind of enjoy the moment where you are. So I do meditation and relaxation and all that other stuff. And so the one principle and the one practice across all of those disciplines are the moment. So, full disclosure, I have white coat syndrome, and I have a huge fear of getting my blood pressure taken. So, and it's irrational, right? So I know, I think to myself, the last time I had this, that I didn't die. You know what I mean? But it still doesn't take away how I was feeling. So what it teaches you is, discipline of relaxation and anxiety and all that stuff, is to focus on the very thing that brings you back into focus. Forgive me, I don't have the words, but I don't want to take too long. I'm trying to find them. So, you focus on what's in front of you. You focus on the now. Because if you think about the infinite picture, it's scary. Because it all ends up in death. You know what I mean? So I have learned through years of psychiatry, you guys are getting all my money right now because I paid for this lesson. So if you think about what's in front of you and not the bigger thing, I mean, you plan for the future, but you kind of write it in pencil. You know what I mean? But the right now is in pen, is in ink. It's happening. It's second by second, moment by moment. When I sat down today, I didn't know what I was having for dinner. Brandon, all shock and awe, came in here with my favorite thing of French toast. I didn't ask for it. There it was. And I was so goddamn happy, like a fat ass 5-year-old. And I wanted to turn this camera off and do a dance. But, but there are other things that happened to me today that, like I lost my favorite primary care physician, and nobody can explain to me where he went, where he's going. So it's just like, So I'm like, they stopped just using these people. I'm like, that's fucked up. So I understand the concept of being powerful or not, but most of the time we can control how we feel about the thing that we can't control. What you can put it in its place. Like, and it's not necessarily that you're ignoring it when you put it in its place. It's just the proper place it should be. I can't, because you have to realize I can't control what's going to happen Friday. I don't even know if I'm going to be here on Friday, but chances are I will be, and let me make a plan for Friday. You know what I'm saying? The weather report, and we've been going through this all week, it says, that it was supposed to rain, but it may not. But something fell out of the sky. I wasn't prepared. Now I'm wet. Not in a good way. And it's just that I don't know. Years of psychiatrists taught me that those infinite questions kind of better left to people that pontificate and things like that. For everyday life, they just don't tend to work for people because it leads you down the road of fear and degradation. It does, because
Yeah.
once you realize, you know what I'm saying, Swag, once you realize how small and insignificant we are in the universe in the grand scheme of things, you're like, whoa, you never want to leave your house ever fucking again. Like, fuck this. I'm saying right here, and I'm watching Beyond the Gates, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. So I'm gonna watch. I think because you're really good at pulling out the big picture, and it's scary. You scare me a lot. Like,
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I live in the big picture. I'm that person who, if I, look at something, I do sort of see the connections between things and think about the larger things. And it's true that I think what he was getting at, and I think he was going back to Kierkegaard, the idea that it's a balance between the two. And so it's to each of us to figure out which do we need. And so for me, typically it is that shrinking. It's one of the ideas of going to therapy. They're literally called shrinks for that reason. Shrinking your world down to what's important. And looking at the idea that you can't, for the things you can't control, that acceptance does not the same thing as liking it, because part of a lot of the pain of, how do we put it? Suffering and pain are not the same thing. You can experience pain and push through it. It can be like a positive experience, say like for people who are going through something they want to do, like working out or childbirth or something like that. That sort of pain is not suffering. Suffering comes from the resistance to what's happening to you when you don't want it to be there. And, that's where emotional pain comes from too, where you resist what is here. I remember someone else saying, like, you don't have to like it, but it helps it if you love it. Love what is.
But I think there are probably a few million women that might disagree with you about childbirth. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because
I know a lot of people choose epidurals, and a lot of people regret choosing epidurals. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm saying is that it just depends on the person and what's going on. Like, some people enjoy the soreness of working out. Other people like, this is bullshit. But what I'm getting at is that not all pain is suffering. There is a difference.
I don't know. Now there is pain that you realize is temporary. That's going to get you to a better spot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I don't know, but it's all pain, just the same.
I'm saying suffering is something on top of the pain. Suffering is the idea that this should not be. That there's an injustice happening. That my life is wrong. Yeah.
Yep, you are correct. But those things.
Oh yeah, pain is pain, and then suffering on top of pain is a shit sandwich. The
example I use, when I fail.
Yeah.
It sucked that I failed, but then it sucked I had to go through rehab. But on the other side of rehab is recovery. But it all fucking sucked. You know what I mean? It's just the same. The pain sucked, the suffering sucked, the rehab sucked, and sometimes the recovery from the rehab sucks, which is the most important part. It all is a cabal of fuckery.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. This is true.
So, it's just one of those things. Yeah.
Let's see if I got any more. I'm trying to figure out how to use this thing. Here we go. If there's any more questions on here that I might want to do. The finite and the infinite. Some people have called this, I remember in some of the literature, the God bug delusion, this idea that inside your own mind is a world all of its own, but you're also just a little bug in the world. This idea, the God bug. Anyway.
Tiny speck in a sea of madness. Yes.
Right. You engineer that. You think you are stuck with 1 billion of your closest friends and all of y'all are bugs together. It doesn't, you know. I mean, that's how I think about things. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to go through this particular thing, whatever it is, by yourself. You're not small by yourself. There's other people, and there are other times in the evolution of our environment that people survived. I mean, their life expectancies were shorter than ours. But the good news is, you know, we, with the exception of the current administration, always seem to evolve as people. I think we're in a part of history now where we are seeing the de-evolution of thought, you know, and that's the scary part for me, that
Yeah.
been through things and we know what they look like, but yet we choose to ignore history. That now I don't mind being small and a big, you know, it's Mark, we've been to New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that reminds you of, it's very humbling. I don't care how long you live there, to go
Right.
to Times Square, to go down to the business district, and you see buildings with hundreds of floors, and you're like, and you know, it bothered my vertigo when I first went, and I was on my way to the doctor, and the doctor's office had 200 floors in it. You know, I said, you know, oh my God, this all made me. You know what the bitch told me? Don't look up.
Yeah, true.
Right. The bitch
Yeah.
said, don't look up. And I laughed, and we laughed together. I said, bitch, you got me. You got me.
Yeah, it's true.
Don't look up, bro. You know, I got it. I got it. So
Yeah.
I think, you know, I implore the audience, please don't, I mean, my personal opinion, of course, they're like assholes. Everybody got one. Enjoy this very moment that you know what I'm saying? Feel your ass in the seat. You know what I mean? You know, feel yourself swallowing the food, taste the food. Now,
Yeah.
bad as I hate Las Vegas, but I had to realize I got to go to the Wynn Buffet. I don't know if anybody has been to the Wynn Buffet, but it is the grand dame of buffets. They have lobster tails. They have everything, every cuisine. You can see famous people. Fran Drescher, one time I saw in there. You can see anybody doing anything everywhere because everybody wants to go to the Wynn Buffet. And you know what? It doesn't cost that much. If you don't drink, it's $35. So, and you can sit in there. It's a time limit now. It's $35. But you think about, there are millions of people that came along to enjoy this thing.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when I really think about it too, Malcolm, when I'm on an airplane, because my dumb ass always thinks about like Final Destination and crazy shit, right?
You should not go see that movie. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not, but I'm just telling you how it seems. I feel like this is the 120 people that I could possibly die with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Stories in my head, like, I wonder what she does. She looks kind. You know what I mean? So just,
Yeah, funny. I do love airports.
Last row, the flight is over.
I love airports for people watching. Like, I do that all the time. Every person I look, I'm like, okay, are they happy together or is he cheating?
Right. Right.
Is that reunion legit or is she missing her side piece?
They know each other. God, you know, you see like dirty old man and dirty old woman. You know what I mean? Like that's usually a awkward thing there. Like the other day, I literally saw an older white man with I'm going to assume is transgender black woman.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't look personal. It looked like it was just some business going on. And it was like professional business. It wasn't like prostitution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But, you know, and I was like, I wonder what the fuck they're talking about. Like, I just want to go fall down by the table and just see. You know, I mean, life is interesting like that. And just no matter what we think, there's always something interesting. You know, like, just in general, I used to hate Mondays, but now I realize, before I stopped watching the news, I realized that Rachel comes on Mondays. And guess what else starts over? A week of Jeopardy and a week of all my favorite game shows start over on Monday, you know, and now I get to look forward to Malcolm McGregor at 3 p.m. on this Friday.
Yeah.
Tune in. So Mondays comes, and it doesn't make it bad. You know, if I start working at 9, You know what I mean? It's like The Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal fall into that. That is delicious. I paid my cable bill to watch this thing. It is beamed into my computer. I don't have to go to a neighbor's house. I have, it's wonderful. And so, last story about I was in Tijuana a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, this is far." I was just thinking,
I told you.
it's far. No, I mean, like, but you pay shit on nobody else.
Place to put a bunker. It's a great place to put a bunker.
You have to go. But it's the greatest. And why is it the greatest place on earth? Because it's undeveloped. It is undeveloped. So it's like you really have to motor into town to get to stuff. And so I always complain about like where I live. See what I'm saying? But I'm like, oh fuck, it's far. But it ain't that far.
I always tell Greg when Greg calls me and he's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm motoring into the city." Like, I feel like I actually am motoring into the city because it's like, John, it's a drive. It's not just around the corner.
So my visits to Tijuana make me not complain about where I live now.
Right.
Because I live in civilization. Like it's a goddamn grocery store like in 5 minutes, and I'm going to shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? I call Uber, that bitch gonna come. You know what I mean? It does.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you realize. Before I had the joys of experiencing Tijuana, I thought I was so far. Oh my God, I'm halfway to Macon. You know what I mean? I'm in my head, but no, bitch, somebody lives further than you, and it's enjoyable. You know what I mean?
It is a matter of perspective, really.
It is.
Putting things in context,
and it's and it's just like Edward Scissorhands. The little houses are so cute. He's one just and it's wonderful, and you forget that you're in Tijuana, really. You forget like this is a Confederate state.
I don't forget.
Think about
because it's so, the white people might wave at you. No, I know, but I might trigger swag.
They might.
I might trigger swag because he hates his neighbor. So
let's see where you have any comments or questions?
No.
Malcolm, you've even seen growth where you live. Like out there wasn't always you didn't always have amenities.
Yeah. I live in a historic district, which is interesting because there are places not too far from me that are hundreds of years old. Like even the house I'm in right now is over 80 years old.
Really?
Yeah, but there are places I was just thinking about when I was in high school that I would go to out now that are fully developed. But back then, we go out there to smoke weed and fuck around, and you'd have to look out for cows, and like that was the traffic you had to worry about. It's fucking
the same thing, and I didn't even realize at the time that I went to high school. My high school was 100. At the time that I went to high school, my high school was 100. The building was 140 years old.
Oh,
and they kept doing shit to it, and the lights would go out in the middle of the day. You're like, when do I get to go home? But maybe it was 120 years old, something like whatever.
Yeah,
something ridiculous. Over a century old situation.
Yeah.
And then I think about the same thing with my church. My church is 115 years old. I think about all the asses that have sat. Big asses.
Oh, good.
White asses, black asses. You don't think about where people's asses. You don't think about
I do not.
Now I know you have, Mom. You're not gonna sit up here and make me look because I know you've done it.
I do kind of,
Just upset before all the asses.
like I said, I'm the type of person who's like every hand has had a dick in it at some point.
Oh my God.
I had the joy of visiting like Ebenezer, and I'm thinking to myself,
oh my God,
to set his ass up in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you think about it. So, like, you go around historic Atlanta, and you think about, this is what TLC did, such and such. It's 30 years old, but then you get back a little older. You're like, yeah, this motherfucker caught on fire because of racism, and things like that. So, when I trick myself when I have thoughts like that, because it is frightening, And so, it told me the other day that 35 is actually middle age. Who triggered me like that?
That was me, and it was 38.
Okay, bitch, I've been thinking about that ever since. And it's like, I'm way past 38.
Yeah.
38 times 2, bitch. Wait a minute, hold on. So
38 times 2 is 76. So
I know I'm close.
That's our
38.
Yeah.
But listen,
life expectancy.
So I have a birthday in a couple of weeks. I'm thinking about, oh my God. So, first, when you're younger, you think about birthdays. I want cake. And I'm going to invite my friends. Now it's like, bitch, I hope I make it. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, Greg is, I'm all about the ass today.
You're gonna be like Sophia when she breathes a bitch where it's like to be like 26. Yes,
I think that way.
Yes. Like I'm older than all these people that died today.
Give me 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds, Malcolm. There was a story on the news last night where a woman who was 32 years old, she's a nurse. She is brain dead. She's pregnant. And the state of Georgia will not let them unplug her because she's pregnant.
Okay.
They are making her, they're using her body as a pod, actually, because she has to incubate the baby. Now, wait 1 second, because the family has no choice in the say so of whatever goes on with this baby. They are going to force the grandmother, her mother, and her partner and her father to raise this baby. Now they don't know because they won't do amniocentesis. They don't know if the baby's
I was gonna say I don't know if that works.
Blind, they don't know nothing.
Yeah.
But Georgia and his infinite wisdom. Now they could just make the decision to terminate because she's brain dead. She's not coming back. Right. They're saving her with the ventilators. But the first thing I thought of, she 32. I got her by 20 years. Amen. And I'm like, bitch, that is so selfish and terrible. But isn't it, do we all think that way?
But it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad, but it's true. Yeah.
We think that way, especially when somebody, they're young. Lord, I outlive them. And so my older brother died at 56. I'm 52. I'm like, oh, fuck. It's like the Grim Reaper's right in the corner. Be like, bitch, that's not going to be your story. Like,
exactly.
My sister, right? My sister is 62. My mother died at 60. So she's like, older than mama is. I was like, no, she died when she was supposed to. And you're going to die when you're supposed to.
Right.
She, okay. Yeah.
I do get that though. Like as much as I try not to, have these anchors, that's what people call them. Because major birthdays are that sort of anchors. Like 50. I remember hearing somebody say the idea that you should never start dating someone who's like 49. Because when you hit 50, you start reevaluating shit. Like, because it's an anchor. Like, once you pass a certain threshold, or like you said, the age your parents died. Once you think about it, it becomes an anchor about, your own mortality or the fact that you're older than your parents have ever been. There's something about that. Whether, like you said, it's not your story is not your story, but you can't help but make the comparison.
Yeah, but Lucky Swag, both of his parents are kicking it, and the Queen ain't going nowhere no time soon. I mean, she is getting it, And you think about if 52 is or 51 is it for me, if something happened, and I fucking explode tonight, I don't know, whatever. What a great life, you know what I mean? What a great life, and what?
Hey,
you ate your dinner. That was a DoorDash man, wasn't it?
No, that was the maintenance guy coming to look at my AC, and because I have no AC in here, I'm hot.
So,
you should tell me to invite. I got a guest room for you to stay in, friend.
Oh,
on that note, let's move on to the next one. Do we have any comments or questions?
No,
because this one I think I would like to get your input on.
Okay, you need to come over and stay?
Maybe. I'll let you know.
I'm sorry, Malcolm. He hot. That baby look hot. Look at him. He blinking and shit. He hot. That baby hot.
Yeah, that is.
Hey, look at him, poor baby.
I forgot about that. I hope you have like 10 fans.
No.
All right. Yeah. So I'm going to talk a little bit about. I guess people. I think we've talked about this before. This idea of people who want to be the victim in every story that they tell. Mm-hmm. And, as a friend, it's probably best to validate someone's emotions, how they feel about something. But I wanted to talk about how you might be able to validate someone's emotions without playing into a victim mentality.
So how do you validate someone's feelings without feeding their victim complex? Here's the thing. If they're always the one who's hurt, always the one who needs their pain recognized, and it's the same story on repeat, that's not just pain. That's a pattern. And validation without accountability, that's like handing them a megaphone to keep screaming the same victim script while you sit there nodding along. Empathy is supposed to help someone get unstuck, not co-sign the rerun of, I'm always the one who gets hurt and no one understands. Because at some point, it's not about what happened. It's about how they keep needing you to hold their pain like a trophy while they refuse to get off the podium. When validation becomes a crutch instead of a bridge, you're not helping them heal. You're just giving them permission to stay stuck. Stephen Cartman's drama triangle breaks it down. Victim, rescuer, persecutor. And if they're always the victim, they're not looking for a way out. They're looking for an audience. So what do? You validate the feeling. Yeah, that sounds rough. Then you redirect the focus. So what are you going to do differently this time? Because the real question isn't, are they hurting? It's, are they actually trying to heal, or are they just collecting sympathy points and calling it progress? And if every conversation is just a remix of the same old pain, maybe it's not the external circumstances that keep hurting them. Maybe it's the story they keep refusing to rewrite.
Ain't that the truth? I would take him
Ain't that the truth? Oh my God.
So I got a few questions for you. So here's the one. How do you tell the difference between healthy empathy and understanding, a victim script, that sort of thing?
If they keep coming back to the same shit, like you keep
right
to the same shit, like nigga, I get it. Yeah.
Like if they just keep, if it's this, like you guys said, if it's the same story every time, but they're maybe the time of day has changed, or maybe but whatever, it's like, but the story, it pretty much is the same. If it's a Tyler Perry production, where it's always gonna be, the good woman who with the bad man, and he's a no good man, and she end up having to go to the light skinned brother with the bad haircut,
or the bad wig.
We've heard this story a million times. It's like, and if you are stuck in this story and you are refusing, or when you try to offer them advice and they never take that advice.
Yeah,
man, if that don't sound like my ex, god dang, every time that something happens or that he gets into, it's always, well, this nigga did this to me and they did that to me and I'm trying to get, look, I'm like, nigga, how long has it been since y'all been broken up? Okay, if it's been that long and you're still trying to get back at them, you need some therapy, you need some help, you need some healing, some sage, something, like, please go do something about that, But of course, he made everybody else his emotional punching bag, and he had this complex of, I don't want to be by myself. Yet at the same time, you won't heal yourself. You want people around you so you don't feel like you're alone. At the same time, you're also hurting people by not also honoring the things you say. So pick a struggle, and work on it. Pick one, and work on it. Okay.
That or when you do offer advice, and it's always like, you just don't understand. You just don't understand what I'm going through. You just don't don't get it. It's like, no, you don't get it.
Y'all are meanies. Y'all are meanies.
One of the things they said there was like soliciting them for like, how do you keep this from happening again? Right?
Yeah, but what did they? I get that's right. The question I asked, because you know, I'm kind of rude like that. I'm like, didn't we just have this conversation, X, Y, Z, and you still haven't done what you need to do to get out of the situation. I told a friend of mine that the other day. He's like, okay, you don't understand. Nope, it's all the same. It's still the same, and you still have not done the thing that you need to do to move that mountain. You have the power. You have the resources. I'm gonna give Oprah, you get a car and you get a car. Is that what you like to hear? I'll give you my best Oprah thick, you know.
Yeah.
You have some messages up here. I mean,
Okay.
that, you know, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, just give people what they want. Go back up, Malcolm. You skipped.
No, you could have stayed on that comment. You could have stayed on that last comment.
No AC sounds like a strip tease to me. Take it off. Second, I second that.
Of course, Greg want to look at those comments. Of course, he does.
I want to make sure our audience gets.
I tried, Fred. I tried to
Thank you. At least somebody tried.
Right.
I want to make sure the thousands and thousands of people that get to see us every month get their money. Sounds like my sister. I was telling y'all about She's not trying to get better. She just wants to punish my mom and I, however she can. My mom keeps falling for it. I'm showing her, fuck, bitch. Fuck you, bitch.
Yeah.
Well, so as the audience, let's take it from that way. So as the audience, you know, I just tune the fuck out because I'm like, bitch, you know. And so I told my friend, I was like, can I hear the remix? He was like, what? I was like, can you give me the remix? I need Teddy Riley on the track. I need Puff on the track. I need somebody.
I don't think you want Puff right now.
No, I think about you because because they've been singing this song since the 90s.
Yeah. So
and I let them know how dated this story was. Well, what the fuck do you mean? I mean what the fuck I said. I said this, you know, and not my mother has been gone 17 years. And God knows grief is that thing that you don't put a time on, and you know it's not what you can do, it's not how you feel about it or any of that. But you know, if you are still trying to fight with dead people, they can't fight back. They can't fight back. They can never give you the answers you want. None of that. They can't do any of that. So I was telling my sister, and I was like, girl, you suck. She was like, well, why do you say that? I was like, because you keep fighting with dead people. And she was like, but I'm hurt. And this is you'll never get the answer that you want. Why? Because they're dead.
Right.
What do you owe to yourself? You are still given you are granted the pleasure of life. So what I tell you when you now have the pleasure of life, that you can move past this bullshit. Because I tell you, wherever they are, whatever they're doing, it ain't involving you. And what they did back here, you know, they probably a little Asian baby somewhere across the, you know, you don't know whatever they have reincarnated into. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know, but I tell people like that, and you know, I'm trying not to be mean. So I'm out of my villain era, America. I'm trying not to be the villain. So, you know, I told my friend that keeps living in this story in 1990. I'm like, bro, listen, you really have to let it go. We have to Malcolm, we talk about this all the time. Mondays at 3 p.m. at this very network. That the power of letting something go. You don't have to hold on to it because it hurts. It's going to hurt even more if you keep on. You know, you can't. Erykah Badu said it best. You're gonna miss your bus because you can't hurry. You're carrying all those bags, lady.
Right. But some people thrive off of that. Some people want to be the victim. Some people want, you know, like you know, that the clip said, they want to collect the sympathy points. They feel like somehow that's their role to play, and they're happy to play it. And they're happy to play you to give them points. And it's like, that's when you have to really kind of like, you know, use the things that he said. It's like, okay, so I feel you, got what you said. Now, what are we going to do differently so that we don't have to do this? And based on their answer, then it's like, okay, so you want to live here. You want to live in this squalor. You want to just continue to just, you know, play this victim and constantly, trauma dump all of us, and what do you get out of that?
I blame Oprah.
I think
Oprah because years ago this bitch was like, "So you need to speak your truth and speak in your drama, bitch. Sit down with your big ass head." All over people. How can you tell the difference between healthy empathy and enabling a victim script in real time? Call that shit out what it is. You know what I'm saying? Just let it be. What language validates emotional yet still nudges a person towards accountability and action? We were just discussing that, and I think it's positive reinforcement. I know y'all think I'm just a mean fellow, and I get off on this, but I'm actually somebody's grandfather. I'm a nice guy, so I tell and it depends on your relationship with it. Now if it's a coworker or employee, I'm like, bitch, get over it. Come on now. But if it's somebody I sincerely care about, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. Now this is interesting to me, Mom.
Yeah.
When you notice someone stuck in the victim role of Cartman's triangle, okay. What concrete steps shift the dynamic without slipping into rescuer or persecutor? And see, that's where I do, where I fall into Dante's Inferno, because you're sick of hearing it. You know what I mean? You get sick of hearing it. So I have a friend of mine. She's Baptist. She's all into the church. Jesus can, Jesus will. Bitch, if you know you ain't got enough money every month, look for a better job. Open the I mean, and I had to let her know Jesus also gave you the power of thoughts. If we're gonna deal with magical Sky Daddy, he gave you the power of thought. He gave you the free will to do this, and you know that you ain't got enough.
Yeah.
Every month, you need to try harder. And so I try to be a cheerleader as much as that, but I think I'm more of a curmudgeon than a cheerleader. Have you ever caught yourself reinforcing someone's victim complex? What warning signs did you miss? No comment.
That is a good question. Have you ever played into someone's victim complex before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
I've also been the victim. I mean,
that's true.
The bad guy in the story. So that's the one thing that they don't talk about in this. If you are the bad motherfucker in the story, if you're the big bad wolf, don't come to me if you say I'm the goddamn problem, bro. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah.
But that's what happens in relationships because it's you and the other person.
Right.
They are blaming you for their victim loop. And you're like, you're talking about me, right? I mean, you got to hit them with a cream diggler, girl. And it's like you are talking, and so especially if like you are that person's outlet, and you're like, why you keep playing with me like that? Keep playing in my face. I'm doing that, like, and they don't understand. But lastly, when you end up giving up, see, you just like everybody else. Ain't you heard that thing? See, you just like everybody else. They turn to Ike Turner. See, you like all the other side motherfuckers that left me. And I'm like, no, Ike, I know I wrote it. You know what I'm saying? Be like, gosh, stop this, man. I mean, you think about like I think the thing that we owe each other is just honesty and transparency. I think that that is the thing that we owe each other in all these scenarios.
So this is maybe a decent segue into the next one, because I want to have a conversation about religion. This person is talking about speaking in tongues. And I remember when I was in college, I went to this church group where I'm not exactly sure what denomination it was, but honestly, I was there for the food, and people were commonly, talking tongues, and during the service, and then I would, be like, "Where's the lasagna?"
That's how they gonna get your ass in a coat with a plate of fried chicken.
Yeah,
I did Malcolm join Jim Jones. They fed it.
I'm using the talking in tongues conversation to have a more general conversation about religion and bridging the gap between religious people and secular people. Because I guess in my experience, it's been where any criticism or critique of religion, especially something as odd as speaking in tongues, just descends into like feeling like you're being attacked. And I'm curious, is there a way to talk about it without, triggering people?
Many years ago, when I was fairly young, I was at church back home in Nigeria, and we were talking about spiritual gifts. And I think that the question that was asked is, why does it seem as though some spiritual gifts are more common than others? I said, well, in my opinion, some spiritual gifts are more common than others because some are easier to fake than others. Because it seems as though if your goal is to convince a room full of people that you can predict the future, that seems like a pretty difficult sell. What is speaking in tongues, or what is it supposed to be? So Jesus was around, and then Jesus wasn't around anymore, and his followers, his disciples, were pretty scared because he was gone and they were afraid for their lives. But then one random day, they were all chilling in a house somewhere because they're hiding, and then all of a sudden, the Spirit of God comes upon them. And as the scriptures say, tongues of fire appear above their heads, and they begin to preach. They begin to preach their message, but they begin to do it in different languages, in languages that they do not speak. But it is important to note that in this episode, at least, they weren't speaking gibberish. They were speaking in foreign languages, in languages that they had never learned. And so the people around them were pretty surprised because they were like, hey, how are these people speaking in my native tongue? That's pretty wacky. And at some point, some people around were like, oh, don't mind them. They are just drunk. They don't know what they're talking about. And St. Peter stops speaking in tongues and he addresses the people and he says, no, guys, we're not drunk. It's too early for that. We are just kind of drunk on the sauce. We're filled with the Holy Spirit. Now, some people will argue that there are two different types of speaking in tongues. There is the one we just talked about, when you speak in a foreign language, and then there's speaking in tongues that's more of a spiritual language. You say things that only God can understand, and that's the more common one we see today, when people just start saying what seems like nonsense. And I'm going to keep it real. I don't really buy it. Because all of the verses in the New Testament that seem to support the idea that there is a way to speak in tongues that just sounds like rubbish are at the very least open to interpretation, and as far as I'm concerned, the clearest articulation we have of speaking in tongues is the day when the disciples did the miracle of speaking in foreign languages. Paul basically says, what's the point in speaking in tongues when no one can understand you? Why on earth would you want to do that? If you go up there in front of a bunch of people in church and you start speaking in a language that they do not understand, and if there's nobody there to interpret what you're saying, then what are you doing? You are just talking into the wind. And so it will make you feel good, it will make you feel holy, that's fine, but if the people are not getting anything out of it, then don't do it. And that's an important part to this whole thing. Speaking in tongues is a choice. You can simply just not do it. They would say, oh, the Spirit just takes over your body and you lose control and you just have to speak in tongues. Yeah, that's not true. That's not a thing. Because if you remember the story of the first instance of speaking in tongues that I talked about a few moments ago, St. Peter stopped speaking in tongues so he could address the crowd. So unless a preacher that's alive today wants to convince all of us that they are more in the Spirit than St. Peter was on the day that the Holy Spirit came down to earth, I don't think it makes sense to say that the Spirit is overwhelming you so much and you lose control of your body, so you just have to speak in tongues. That's not a thing. You can simply choose to not do it. And this is something that St. Paul talks about as well. If there's nobody around to interpret what you are saying for the benefit of the people listening to you, then just sit down and be quiet. St. Paul says he would prefer it if most people prophesied, because at least prophecy helps people out. Prophecy helps people in the community. But if all you do is speak in tongues and nobody can understand you, and there's nobody there to interpret, you're not helping anyone. All you're doing is making yourself look cool.
No,
Child.
oh,
I got stories about that, but
Bet you do.
It's difficult to have that, but I mean, he's just saying what he thinks about it, and I know like this would just, trigger the shit out of people. But...
jump out of her grave and smack me. Rest in peace, Alex. we all right. Your baby boy ain't saying nothing against them. No. Y'all go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess these are some of the questions here. I'll start with you, Swag, since you say you have stories. Let me.
Wow. I'm telling you. So my former partner was part of this organization. I'm not going to call it a church. That's what they call it. Every time, like it's nothing like I've ever seen before, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I have to agree. I'm just like, I'm not buying this. I'm like, everybody up in here is, cackling and blah 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 and jumping and all this. I'm just like, all of y'all are doing this. I'm just saying. I'm just like, but the reason I kind of agree with him is because, like, I was with these people when they weren't in church, and they literally would be like, "Yeah, this is what I'm gonna do when so start doing this." Like, I feel like it was almost like a competition for them, like who could out tongue the next person. I'm just like, this is too much for me. That's why I say I feel like it's more of an organization.
Ooh.
But
and I'm just saying, like, even according to their book, both Peter and St. Paul are as examples of speaking in tongues. Paul is just like, if you are speaking in this tongue that only God understands, then do that in private.
Right.
What is that going to do for the rest of us?
Right. And I agree with you on that. Like, if God is speaking through you, then why can I not understand what you're saying? Like that, it seems to me like if you really are, I should be able to understand it perfectly. But I'm
going to take it at face value that God is truly speaking through them in a language that is unique to Him and God, whoever it is. Why are you doing it in front of me? What am I getting out of hearing your gibberish?
Right, because if it's not if it's not working on me, if it's not something that I can like,
I think most other people recognize I can't understand.
Like, right?
Yeah, no one. I don't know people who say that I can understand the tongues of people speaking in tongues. Everyone admits that I can't understand what you're saying. So the only thing you're doing is showing off that you're feeling the Holy Spirit, which is legit. I guess that's fine.
Actually, Greg is taking me out because he's like, Lord, let me clear the air right here because y'all ain't sending me to hell.
Lord, I got enough problems as is. Jesus, Lord have mercy.
I'm actually coming to their defense in the sense that if this is your tradition, right, and you are speaking in tongues, you're basically demonstrating that you're feeling the Holy Spirit.
Right.
But at the same time, you're also pretending. You're making a show.
Right.
Because we know that's not what's really happening. You're feeling it, but you're also just speaking in gibberish.
In
a language that you don't understand.
And the piccolo player has something to do with it too, because when that music get amped up, then you know what I mean? Yeah. That's their cue.
Right.
So
maybe I'll tell y'all about it at Patreon because it's like I feel like it's like I've heard of other places where this happens, but it just seems like this one particular place is just bizarre on ways that I can't explain. I don't want to get into it because it's
yeah.
So maybe I'll save it for Patreon because I'm telling y'all it's
I always tell people I converted to Catholicism.
And it might be the same place you're talking about, Malcolm, because I will say they do have some good food.
and in DC, they have a whole restaurant, a couple of them.
Yes, we might be talking about the same people, but I don't want to say their name because, child, they will hunt you down. And you see sis letters and shit. I'm just like, I don't want these people mad at me. I'm just saying.
Well, that's the issue I was getting at. Of the larger issue is like, as a secular person, can I have, is it possible to have empathetic, considerate critiques of someone's religious service without triggering people?
No, please. No. It's okay for you to have it, but I was going to tell you the story. So I converted at 35. So around 42, I was visiting my sister in my home church. Now, I grew up Pentecostal, and they do all the running around.
Yeah. I never got the whole running around thing. I never felt that spirit.
Like, she need her cardio. That's what it is. She's trying to get her step.
God help me get my steps in. Yeah.
Hey, come on, Jesus. We doing cardio for Jesus. Hallelujah.
Okay.
So, and the thing is, so my sister was like, "Ooh, I see that service ain't move you. What y'all do over there at that Catholic masses?" I said, "You can let go one of them S's." So I said, "Well, if I did that, I'll be put out in the straitjacket."
Would you?
In the Catholic Church, if I got up and ran around, and
the
piccolo player went bam, 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 bam. No, first of all, you're not gonna hear that. You might hear a little organ in the back, a little whisper. But I said that to say that once I went back into that environment, I noticed how ridiculous it was and how Trump, to say the least, how Trump it was. And so her and I began to have this conversation. I said, you didn't realize when the piccolo player, and I call the piccolo player the guy who plays the organ on the piccolo player, you didn't realize when the piccolo player started amping up and when the pastor said, and he pointed to him, it's the greatest show on earth. Now, for entertainment value, I was in it. We have people sprawled on the floor. You put the blanket over them. The people with the nurses come with the nurses' shoes on and the hats. It was lovely. It was a lovely show. It was a lovely show, and that's the thing. It is, and so I realized. So this is part of what was the part of the reason I converted. I'm a little more conservative than that. Give me some prayers. 45 minutes, I'm out. That was the one reason I was attracted to Catholicism. I was like, it's kind of straightforward. They're a little crazy, but I get it. But there is no way to answer your question. In my opinion, there is no way you can convey that to someone who is entrenched in their religion. Right. You're gonna get it. I'm just telling you right now.
I feel like religion is very personal to people, and any kind of critique on that religion is going to feel like offensive. I just don't see it. Like I don't see being able to critique it.
I agree with you. I just wish there was, because I feel like there needs to be sometimes like a bridge between secular and religious people, especially when it comes to things like public policy and stuff.
No, there was a bridge, but she's dead. Maya Angelou. She was kind of the bridge for Black people, because if she said it, it was the gospel, and she was often one to bridge religious, she kind of, Toni Morrison was another one we talked about how low-key awful Beloved was the other day, and how the symbolism, and so I am toying with doing a story Saturday on Afrofuturism and how the white Anglo-Saxon church made us disavow all of our African traditions. So what I feel as though is when I have that conversation, I always tell my brethren in other religions, that is a wonderful tradition to carry from Africa. And I said, well, what do you and I'm like, listen, this came from that tribe because I studied this. And like, this came from that tribe. And like, that came from Jesus. I was like, hey, listen, calm down. You want to put the things back up that you were?
Yeah, let me see. Gotta figure out which button to press. Here we go.
In your experience, what distinguishes genuine spiritual expression from, we just talked about this, from performative showmanship when it comes to speaking in tongues? We have no way of knowing. We don't know the language we're speaking in.
I mean, we kind of know, though. I mean,
no, we don't, because
we have an idea.
You can accidentally fuck around and speak in Aramaic, and we never know.
I guess so. Yeah.
Because I tell you what, I accidentally, living in New York, I missed my mass, and I had to go to a Roman Catholic church because I wanted to go to mass. And my friend was like, "Come on, bitch, this starts at 2:00 in the afternoon," but it was in Latin, and I swear some of it was like they were speaking in tongues, but they were speaking in Latin. So you never know. Okay, how do you interpret the biblical account in Acts versus modern practices? Are they two forms of the same gift or fundamentally different phenomena? That is part of that is part of your belief in Sky Daddy. You know what I mean? That's part of
I'm just saying, like, if the idea of speaking in tongues comes from this passage in Acts where the apostles are hiding from persecution and they can start preaching to people in different languages. It's not it's not a gibberish, right? It's not a language just between you and God. How do we reconcile that? Because that's a tenet that I suppose they believe that this from Acts is true. I'm not even, I'm saying within your own religion, you're not.
Suppose you said supposed believe.
I don't know.
You said
that's what I'm just saying.
Exactly. So
I'm just saying, like, this is your book. This is your holy book. And
yeah, but we just discussed last Saturday at 1 p.m. The Saturday sit down. We just discussed how the Bible did not mention the word homosexuality to 1947. So I urge those of us who are having this very difficult conversation with loved ones and our partners and friends, because I do know people in relationships, they are multi-faith people. It's just difficult, and what I say to those who say that it's difficult, let them people live in whatever happy space they're in. You know, I accidentally was picking with my other sister and called God Sky Daddy, and she hung up on me, and I'm not sure if I'm still not welcome to her home. Now, I am Christian, just like Pentecostal people don't see Catholicism as Christianity. They think it's a cult.
Mm-hmm.
They think all the Pope and all that shit is a farce.
Yeah.
So what controversial phrases or ground rules help you? What conversational phrases or ground rules help you discuss sensitive doctrine like tongues, empathy, without harming by your relationship? Stay away from. That's all I could say. Please run. Yeah, like it's not worth the value of the friendship. It's not. It's
So I mean, there's just no bridge between.
No. So let me tell you something.
Just give
up. I
up.
don't know if the Queen knows I'm Catholic or not. The Queen knows I'm Christian. So, but I dare not tell her that I'm Catholic. When she say praise the Lord, I say praise the Lord. You know what I'm saying? How you doing, sir? Yes, ma'am. Praise the Lord. Yes. And
good.
I'm in somewhere and they don't pray like I pray.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't make go to somebody's house who is Pentecostal.
I don't even mention it. That's a good point. I don't.
When I go to somebody's house thick, I don't make the sign of the cross. I make the sign of the cross at my dinner table. But if I go to somebody's house and I know they are Pentecostal or some other faith, I do not. I say a silent prayer, dear Jesus. You know, please don't put no conversion in this food. I don't know what's in it, Lord. You know,
not conversion in the food, sir.
I'm gonna move on to the next topic real quick.
Yeah,
I got one more. Do we have any comments or questions?
We do.
Yes, okay. We have quite a bit. Let's see. Let's start here.
Malcolm being lured into a unmarked van by That's about right, Ock. That's about right.
There are also some cute guys there too. So cute guys and food. Yeah.
I didn't even know they had an AME college. Wow, interesting. I think I've seen it all from the real to the performative. And to write down fake me being the heathen that I am, I'd rather watch a voodoo ritual because it was scary.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sammy. Can we move on to the next one? CC2, how are you, friend? Oh, trust, I understand the point about being vacant because I know so many that would just start speaking in tongue out of the blue at the market at the Taco Cabana and shit. I saw those people. Right, like CC, like those people that they'll give. This is a trick of the enemy. Right. I come to Honda and leave it a Honda. You know, I come to Honda and leave it a Honda. You know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck, whatever they say.
God, that would be funny. Yeah.
Church boots, pants. No, I'm not reading that.
I read it in church pants boots music will really send you to a headspace that'll make you start sweating, stomping, and talking gibberish in the name of the Spirit.
In the name of the Holy Ghost and the Father.
That's a new one. Church pants boots music.
I love it.
I think that needs to be its own category.
They do chicken wings. They start doing chicken wings.
Yeah, exactly.
Chicken wing. Swag that church got spies looking around wouldn't be saying saying something about them too.
Child, you never know. You never know.
And
They
it's,
might have bought the house. They might have bought the house across the street from me just to keep an eye on me.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's something. I'll tell y'all about it. I'm telling you.
Black Jesus. Block him. Block him. Block him. Block him. DC, how you doing, sir? Now, I don't judge those that do in church or while praying or etc. I'm not going to say that it's not real since it's never happened to me, but the ones who fake it makes it hard to believe.
Yeah.
And that's
a good point. But it could be true for people.
But so I question. I think that's the point Malcolm trying to get to. It happens to people so regularly, and it has never happened to me. You know, like I never jumped and said Shonda. You know, no, never. My cousin's name is Shonda. I'm just playing. No, but I just never. I'd rather speak native ancestral tongue than speak any type of Holy Ghost. I don't know anything about that either. No, don't know. I barely. I understand Spanish. I speak a little bit, but I speak very good English. And I'm gonna stick to that. Those two. Let's go. Go ahead. Swag over there playing with the cat.
I'm sorry.
Sammy says his third boyfriend. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at the baby. At the baby. Look at the baby. Thick. They go swag. They go to kitty cat. My third boyfriend was a church queen. Surprised. What a scary.
You probably scared him away with one of your.
Well, listen to this though. Listen to the rest of it. When a sexy fat ass was determined to save my soul, I bet he wanted to suck your soul. I tell you, I've been known to corrupt the most pure soul. He left after 2
I believe that.
You are Satan adjacent, Sammy. I think I'm not going just Satan adjacent. CC2 says, I just look at this like that's just not my gift to speak in tongues. It's just something that cannot be proven. If you don't speak said language, like I dated somebody and he tried to convince me, oh, this is Old Testament Aramaic. I'm like, no, you just strung together some syllables because I had a toddler once. Made those names.
Yeah, people have done that too. In fact, I think in that video I edited it. He was stitching somebody who was basically breaking down some of the gibberish that people say when speaking tongues. Yeah, and it is exactly what you're saying. Like,
you know, but you know, my favorite one when they start saying it when they come out, it's like Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nisi. I love that. I love it, and that's a part of the performance. Forgive me, God. But of the performance, and I love Jehovah, and they just go through all the Jehovahs, and I'm like, oh, I need to go back and check my Bible. I don't know if I got all those Jehovahs. You know, Jehovah's. You know, and it's in the perform, and I'm gonna tell you, the performance is good. I don't care. You know, sometimes I just go peeking my head in a Pentecostal church just to see the performance because it's really good. It's like,
I can feel you on that.
Over Jireh, and they be all ready. Go ahead.
Well, I do want to make a reminder to everyone. I would check out our book of the month. I put a link to it for all our patrons if you want to get a copy of Homegoing by Yao Gessi. There is actually quite a bit of overlap of what we were just talking about in there about ancestral religions and the connection between the Black church and some of those practices. So there is like a reality that some of the dancing and stomping is a carryover from African practices.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's I saw. They still making posts about Senegal.
Yeah.
Some people can't get enough, and they were talking about the crossover, and that's the one thing that we carried over. We carried over.
Like
that,
we call them rain shouts or ring shouts.
Yeah,
basically, it was like a way of summoning spirits.
Or there's nobody that cries like an old. If you ever lost somebody and an older Black woman is praying and crying and moaning, there is something ancestral Now that I believe in. There's something ancestral about her moaning and her wailing for her loved one. And when one of my loved one died, child, they all did. But anyway, it was a row of old ladies, and they were just mourning their friend, and it was, you know what I mean? And they were just moaning and crying and wailing. They made me cry. I didn't even know the bitch that was dead.
But we're gonna go to Patreon in just a second. If you would like to support Male Media Mind, go to patreon.com/Male Media Mind. We have an after show. Like I said, we got a book club. We got a couple of adult channels. We also are working on Discord someday. It exists. We can give you the link if you want to help us, build a Discord channel. If you know anything about Discord, maybe you can teach us. But in the meantime, I do have some fun videos, and I will have topics in our after show as well. But
I want to talk about his ex's religion.
I'm going to see if I can do this with the video. Let's see if I can do it. There we go.
Oh.
Lightning.
Oh.
Oh my.
Oh man.
Now, I learned that this pelican is actually trying to eat that dog.
Ah, what?
Goodness.
Really?
Really? Pelicans will eat small animals. It is trying.
Wow. I think you just trying to groom it, but
No, it is trying to eat it.
What? It's too big for its mouth.
Watch your head, watch your head.
Rolf trying to eat it. It's like,
They white African young
Grooming.
Oh Lord.
He hurt.
That's it. Hurt.
What?
Oh man.
Did he fall?
He was trying to lift
passed
up
out.
something heavy and he fainted.
Oh no. See, he sprained it.
Yes. When you see two elephants fighting, it's time to go.
I know, why y'all there?
Right. I don't want to stick around and see what happens. Like, it's time to go.
Wow. We took out
Okay. Well,
you got another pipe.
look, it saw me before I saw it.
Oh gosh. And then he walked away? Child, we got it bad coming and going.
Right, okay.
Oh my God, why is he doing
Up
that?
the cream,
No.
and that's what you do. You whip the cream until you get whipped cream, which you can tell because it gets really
What the
stiff.
hell?
Who did that?
And then you just keep churning until you hit what I call sloshing stage.
Oh my God.
Oh god.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up.
Oh Lord.
Oh
Oh shit. Oh, what that mouth do? He a freak. Yeah. Is this nigga voguing? He must walk sex iron. Oh shit. Nigga, you going deep. Is you cool? You mark your territory. You hitting spots that ain't never been discovered before. He is dangerous. Run. A motherfucker have to take out a PPP loan, buy you a Hellcat, pay off your probation fines, buy you an island. Oh yeah. I'm calling your probation officer and running you over. You are too dangerous.
Not running him over. Oh.
Here it comes. Okay.
Wait a minute.
I want my chips back, thief. Just gonna sit there and enjoy it in front of me, aren't you?
You put food in the car? Look at him, he's taking the Legos. He's taking the Legos.
If anyone was wondering.
Bear climbed through the window of the garage.
Instead of saying,
And in the freezer.
That's not cool. He said I've done this before.
Go away. Fine, go. Go home.
It's gonna be right there. That's final destination right there. Final destination. Yep.
You do that.
You've been in them corners. Mm-hmm. Okay, red light. Ooh, yellow light.
Okay. You want that yellow light? I'll slow it down for you.
Ooh, give me that green light again.
Okay.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Okay, red light. Okay. Ooh. Go back to that green light again. I like that green light. You want that green light? Mm-hmm. Red light. Nah, I'm about to run this light. Ooh. My goodness.
Look at house trash.
Early Thursday morning.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
I was on my way to the crib.
I think we should another coming thick.
I got a message. You said what you doing, big head. Already knew what time it is. Yes, I did. She wanna get nasty. So I told her, if I come, I can't stay too long. Soon as I get to the room, we got right down to it. We start getting it on. Help me find the draw. I got somewhere to be. Yes, I do, lady. Help me, please.
Help me find
my draws.
Man.
You know about that, my boy. Help me find my draws.
Mm-hmm. I've been there, done that. Shoot.
I got somewhere to be. All right.
I got somewhere to be. Help me find my
All right. Well, we are about to go to Patreon. Make sure to tune in tomorrow at 7 for the Digital Digest. Yeah. Do we have any other comments? I saw you.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. He calls it traffic violation. It's in that ass.
Okay.
Right. He calls it traffic violation in that ass. Hold on. Grandma.
I mean, I've done. Oh, well, Grandma started making him cheese. What?
All right. And also on Saturday at 1, join Greg for the Saturday sit down. I'm sure there'll be something from the Sus Box, the Rewind, and all those good things. Of course,
I said, y'all shirts off, dance off. Walking up that sweat dancing. Ain't nothing wrong with walking up a sweat dancing.
Ain't it?
Ain't nothing at all. So I've done naked Zumba before. It's liberating actually.
Then join Devon Sunday at 5. Yes, absolutely. And Monday you can join Greg and I at 3 p.m. for.
Oh, somebody fixed the time. Look at that.
Yes, there it is. And of course, for the swag suite, Tuesdays at 7. Get all of the shit his mama says, all of the tech and doodads, and the are the straights okay? All the trending topics from the internets. Also, make sure to check out the M3 Bearcast. We drop it on Friday, and of course, 2 Grooms in a Pod on Apple and Spotify. And we're going to Patreon now. If you want to support us financially, become a patron, get extra content. We will see you in a little bit. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you in a little bit.